Contemporary systems for retrieving documents are based on geometry, vector models, sophisticated statistics, and intriguing notions of what constitutes a document and what constitutes a question. I want to present to you some conversational thoughts on how we might look at models that have been developed in the past and current models in an integrated way, so that we have a way of thinking about where we've been, where we are, where we might be going. Let's think what components make up any retrieval system. The first thing we could say is there's a descriptor, there's an index record, there's a search request, there's a retrieval rule, and there's a retrieval status value. Each of these components is found in the simplest retrieval system and the most complex contemporary system. Let's get some thoughts going on just what we mean by each of these terms. The descriptor can be thought of formally as any symbolic entity for a document. And similarly, any symbolic entity for an information need. We can say about descriptors that they're whole, that they're one complete unit, one atomic unit in the formal sense, regardless of how many elements there are making up that one descriptor. For example, one of the Library of Congress subject headings for our textbook, Doing Things with Information, is Information Storage and Retrieval Systems Design. Technically, that's 6 words. However, those 6 words comprise one descriptor. Ordinarily, there are 2 ways of applying descriptors to documents and to user needs. One is that some human, an indexer, a reference librarian, some other human, decides what are the rules, what counts as a valid descriptor. Or we can develop computer programs to count words, count word co-occurrences, look at possible synonyms, and develop a statistical way of deciding which of those would suit the descriptor for the document as well as descriptor for the question. The index record is a set of descriptors relating to a document. That seems to make sense. It stands for the document in the search process. That is, one descriptor or a set of descriptors are all that is searched. Instead of having to walk into the stacks of a large library or go one by one through all the files in a digital database, one can simply go through these representations, these descriptors. For example, if we were to look at WorldCat for their description, their index record of doing things with information, our textbook, we can see that there is not only the title and the authors, but down toward the bottom here, subjects, information retrieval, information storage and retrieval systems -design, indexing. So this set of 3 descriptors, plus the title and the authors, which are of course also descriptors in a sense, comprise the index record. The index record could be just one descriptor, but here we have a set of descriptors. Expands that index record and has a second page which gives us their document type, all the authors, the ISBN, the OCLC number, even the description tells us their 241 pages and illustrations. That is, in fact, a descriptor. We could be looking for all books over 240 pages that have illustrations. I'm not sure why anyone would do that, but one could. So that's standing for each document. We have at the same time what stands for the question, the information need. Here we have the single or multiple descriptors of that need. That might include coming up with a proper Library of Congress subject heading. It might be walking up to a reference librarian and saying, I need books on cars. You might walk into a music library and whistle a tune. You might panic and ask a friend, what am I going to look for? I need to do a report on economics. You might walk into a system, talk with a real person, or type in, do you have anything that will make me happy? That might be your desired outcome for this document search. That's the description of your request. That's all that the system handles. The system doesn't know how old you are, how well you read, what degrees you have in your background. So that search request, that set of descriptors of the information need, for all purposes of the system finding your document, represents your need, represents your question. So we've described the documents, we've described the questions. What next? Just how is it that we bring together the descriptions of the documents and the descriptions of the information need? And we also need some way of accomplishing that. We need an engine that relates status value to the request. What does that mean? It means we need some way, some system. It might be a digital system running on a program. It might be a pretty good reference librarian. There are a lot of different ways to think of this engine. But somehow they have to tell you which documents in the collection might be suitable for your question. That's the retrieval rule. Retrieval status value. This is a term that seems to confuse a lot of people. It's a fairly simple notion, but it's a set of words we don't usually use. So what we can say about the retrieval status value is that that value gives the status of each document after a search has been accomplished. That is to say, if we think of all the documents in a collection, which documents are going to be put into the user's hands, in front of the user's eyes, by the user's ears. In that sense, it indicates the ranking of the documents. Are we going to put it here, or are we going to leave it on the shelf? We can formally say that means we have an output category for each document. Each and every book on the shelves of a 2 million volume library, each and every document in all those, excuse me, among all those that Google handles, the millions and millions of documents Google handles, has a ranking. Most of them are going to be 0 or no. We don't want those. In older times, in the days of card catalogs, the ranking was just had two possibilities. Either we're going to retrieve it, give it to you saying, by our retrieval engine, working on your request and all the representations of the documents. Here are a few from our collection that we retrieved. All the others we did not retrieve. That means that in a formal sense, they have a retrieved value of 0. In the last few decades, we've developed systems that give us weighted output. That is to say, we can give you a probability. Some of those probabilities will be high, perhaps even as high as 100% probability that this will be satisfactory to you. It will help you with your search. Pardon me, it will help you resolve your information need. But here are some others. If the top ones aren't satisfactory for one reason or another, whether that's that they aren't on the shelf, or that despite the description that we have of the document and have of your question, it's not really what you want, here are some others. In our first go round through the retrieval engine, we thought these were probably not so relevant for you, but they still have some possibility. So here are those that are 90% likely to satisfy you, 80%, 70%. Perhaps some of those will have elements in them that will help you clarify your question and help you formulate a more tailored question. At any rate, we've given you choices. We haven't simply made a blind decision. You get to see these, you don't get to see all the rest. Let's start taking a look at how we could apply these notions to systems that have existed in the past and how we can build those up to where. Let's look at one of the simplest systems, one that should be familiar. The set of manila envelopes in a file cabinet. Here we have each descriptor is a single term. Might have a couple of words in it, but you've got only one of those tabs on the top of the folder, so that's a single descriptor, a single atomic description. The index record can only be a single term, and the search request can only be a single term. The retrieval status value is yes or no. If I want health insurance and there's a tab that says health insurance, yep, got it. If I'm looking for health insurance but there's no tab for health insurance, nope, didn't get it. The retrieval rule is simply that a document, in this case a file folder, is retrieved if and only if the index record, the little tab, exactly equals the search request. Can't be kind of like, but it has to exactly equal. So hopefully here we've got the simplest case that makes it more evident how we can make use of these terms: the descriptor, the index record, the search request, the retrieval status value, and the retrieval rule. In our next session, we'll try to bump these up some to more complex systems. Thank you. Let me know if there's anything that I can help explain here.